News screens display alarming global headlines about monsters and catastrophic events, sparking fear and confusion. Outside the school entrance, students gather as someone complains that the trending news is just exaggerated hype, comparing it to past zombie rumors. The crowd shifts their attention to the appearance of the popular girl, Shui Kingzi. Students gossip about her breakup with her boyfriend. One student claims the girl was just settling for him, as she got accepted into a top university while he failed to even enter an ordinary college. They agree their futures were never compatible. Another student tries to remember the boyfriend's name, saying it might have been Fang Yi. Suddenly, Fang Yi appears in front of Shui Kingzi. Shui Kingzi calmly states that she has made up her mind and believes their relationship is no longer realistic. She explains that high school love often ends with a moment of realization, suggesting they were never truly right for each other. She adds that a lasting relationship needs equal standing and courage. She firmly says they should break up and adds that even if he tried everything, it wouldn't change her decision. Fang Yi stays silent with a blank expression, while the crowd watches. Internally, Shui Kingzi wonders if he's so stunned that he can't respond. The crowd mocks Fang Yi silently, assuming he'll beg her to stay since she's the school flower. One student even calls him a fool dreaming beyond his league. Fang Yi casually responds with "all right" and brushes it off. Shui Kingzi is caught off guard and stares in disbelief. Fang Yi says he'll leave if there's nothing more to say. As he walks away, she calls out for him to wait, while wondering if his cold reaction is genuine or just an act. He looks back at her and calmly asks if she has anything else to say. She angrily warns him that no matter what he thinks or does, she will never return to him. He coldly tells her not to overestimate her importance, referring to her as just the school flower. Shui Kingzi stands speechless as Fang Yi brushes her off, saying he's too busy to continue the conversation. As he walks away, a few students express disbelief that the breakup happened so quickly and easily. Fang Yi reflects to himself that Shui Kingzi and the others have no idea about the disasters coming. He's no longer the person they once knew, he's someone who has returned from the future to this timeline. He knows that in the face of what's coming, society's standards, money, degrees, and reputation will become meaningless. To him now, Shui Kingzi is just a figure from a past life that no longer holds any value. He reflects that petty gossip no longer matters to him, what lies ahead is far more important. In his mind, the world and its values will soon be overturned. He knows that the real threat isn't personal relationships, but the crisis that will soon endanger all of humanity. The story flashes back to the previous night. Strange visions and shattered images surround Fang Yi as he receives a mysterious cosmic message. A countdown is revealed: 361 days until the beginning of the spiritual energy revival, which will bring unprecedented and unpredictable changes to the world. The message declares that society's standards will be overturned, and a new era of spiritual practitioners will rise, where power will become the only measure of worth. Fang Yi, startled, reaches out as the vision unfolds. He, floating in a glowing cosmic space, faces a light and asks who it is. Suddenly, a surge of light and energy flashes toward him, catching him off guard. The screen revealing that a system from the end of the universe has activated. It uses a supreme algorithm to generate spiritual techniques based on the spiritual beings the user touches. The screen states that Fang Yi currently possesses 0 techniques as he reaches toward the interface, absorbing the gravity of this new power. Fang Yi silently reaches toward the glowing system panel, activating it with curiosity. Suddenly, a massive beast with glowing red eyes lunges toward him, jaws wide open in a violent surge of energy. The creature appears to emerge from the system itself, surrounded by lightning and chaos as Fang Yi floats nearby in shock. His eyes widen as he realizes the danger in front of him. Fang Yi sees the fate he once shared with countless ordinary humans. Beads of sweat roll down his face as he processes the memory. He questions if that was truly him in his past life. He recalls how, in that previous life, he was just a powerless person swept up by the disaster, fighting only to survive. Fang Yi recalls the darkness of his past as lightning strikes and mutated beasts roam the city. He remembers watching his homeland collapse, powerless to stop the destruction. His past self died in despair, consumed by a burning desire for revenge at the moment of death. In that final moment, the fire in his eyes burned with hatred, reflecting the pain that still lingered within him. He believes the system chose him because of his strong desire for revenge, giving him the chance to return 1 year before the spiritual energy revival. He acknowledges that almost no one senses the coming danger, but he's now fully aware of what's approaching. He reaches toward the glowing core, determined. He resolves to use this year to turn every spiritual event into an advantage, as light bursts around him and the transformation begins. The system initiates a new assessment process, scanning Fang Yi as energy begins to surge within him. His eyes glow with golden light. The system declares that the user is now bound to it and a new path has opened. Everything in the world can now be used to forge spiritual techniques, making him a powerful practitioner meant to save humanity. Meanwhile, in the outside world, officials announce that humanity is facing an unprecedented crisis and must abandon past knowledge to adapt to the unknown challenges ahead. Fang Yi confirms that this moment marks the beginning. With others nearby, he notes how the authorities haven't reassured the public, only advising people to remain cautious and alert. A phone displays warning alerts with strange images. Fang Yi reflects that such open warnings are unusual. In the past, news like this would have been censored immediately. A quiet auditorium is shown as he explains that the Xia country uses calm, indirect methods to mentally prepare people for disaster without spreading panic. Fang Yi admits it's a tiring and slow approach, but far better than neighboring countries that respond with chaos, violence, or looting when disasters strike. Fang Yi remembers the system's rule: everything strange can become a source of power. So, he knows he must rush to the scene whenever something unusual happens. His eyes narrow as he checks his phone. A headline warns of the highest UV levels in a century at Qingcheng University, along with a heat wave alert for new students, disguised as a casual sun protection notice. Some students nearby dismiss it as media hype, joking that the university probably paid to trend, unaware of the deadly seriousness behind the warning. He looks up at the cloudy sky, noticing how different it seems from the weather warning reports just nearby. He checks his phone and sees the UV index at 0, questioning how Qingcheng University, only 15 minutes away, could be experiencing extreme UV levels. He reads a school announcement stating that registration will proceed as normal despite the intense heat, while online comments joke about the warning being fake or photoshopped. While the public dismisses it as a hoax, Fang Yi smiles subtly, knowing deep down that dangerous is beginning, and he's the only one who understands it. Fang Yi smiles confidently as he senses that his first real opportunity has finally come. The sun blazes unnaturally over Qingcheng University's north gate. He arrives calmly and realizing something is not right with the environment. As students flee from the unbearable heat, Fang Yi calmly observes the glowing particles floating around the campus gate and wonders what they are. He crouches down and reaches toward one of the flickering lights. As his finger touches the glowing orb, it pulses brightly with a surge of energy. A flash of light erupts, and Fang Yi is taken aback by the sudden reaction. The system detects a severe solar-type energy disturbance and immediately initiates the solar attribute data template. He screams in pain as the overwhelming energy surges through his body. A massive burst of radiant light explodes outward, illuminating the entire area with intense solar energy. Onlookers react in shock, some question if they're hallucinating. Others jokingly call it a Super Saiyan moment, while one compares it to a heavenly being descending to Earth. Fang Yi screams in agony as the solar energy floods through his body. He wonders if the formation is complete, feeling like he's about to die under the strain. Suddenly, the system confirms the formation is complete, and he has obtained the golden sun breathing technique. His transformation is complete. His hair turns white, his eyes glow gold, and his body radiates with powerful solar lightning. At Qingcheng University, the new student welcome day begins under a bright. A crowd forms around the registration area as students line up. One student offers to help a Shui Kingzi carry her luggage. As she draws attention, multiple boys rush over, offering guidance and club flyers, hoping to impress her. Calm, she politely declines with a firm, "Thanks, but no need." A group of students chat excitedly, happy to be in the same city. Shui Kingzi stands beside them, visibly uninterested, thinking they're completely love-struck. Suddenly, a massive explosion of light appears in the distance, drawing everyone's attention and stunning Shui Kingzi. A warning blares through the loudspeakers, advising students to stay away from the north gate due to an incident. With a serious expression, she realizes strange things have been happening everywhere and decides she must investigate it herself. At Qingcheng University's North Gate, amidst the swirling smoke and flames, Fang Yi's appears. A system panel activates, explaining that by staring into the scorching sun and breathing in the burning heat, Fang Yi can perform golden sun breathing to strengthen his body. Without prior learning, a new skill is unlocked, and writing points are gained as golden energy continues to surge around his hands. Fang Yi looks at the system panel, which confirms that a new skill has been unlocked and 59 writing points have been gained. He questions what writing points are. After a brief pause, he decides it doesn't matter, thinking it's obviously something useful, and he'll figure out how to use it later. The sun shines brightly overhead as Fang Yi looks up. Nearby students begin to react to the strange phenomenon. One comments that the sky suddenly went dark, while another says they felt a chill in the air. Someone else calls out that a crowd is forming at the North Gate, and Shui Qingzi is seen among them. A large group of people gathers at the campus entrance. The president of Qingcheng University arrives with security and questions why so many people are present despite a warning message being sent out. He orders everyone to check in immediately, warning that those who don't will lose points. The hooded officer commands the team to re-establish the perimeter and fully seal off the North Gate area. The president acknowledges the order with a nod. A system notification appears, confirming that the contaminated zone level at Qingcheng University's North Gate has been purified. Fang Yi reads another message explaining that a contaminated zone is a government-designated area in Xia country where spirit return energy appears. He's surprised to learn it's officially recognized and realizes he's not the only one affected. A broadcast alerts everyone that all unrelated individuals must evacuate the sealed North Gate area immediately, prompting Fang Yi to stay cautious. As military personnel take control, someone questions if they are from the army, while others in the crowd express confusion about the situation. Fang Yi realizes the disturbance has become too large and their presence has attracted too much attention. Without hesitation, he launches himself into the sky, deciding it's time to leave the area. The hooded officer steps through the smoke. He kneels and touches the surface, picking up a small crystal fragment. He brings it to his eyes and inspects it carefully. He examines the crystal and states that the event was no accident, suggesting someone may have already begun resonating with spirit energy. As security orders the crowd to clear out, the officer continues observing the area while other staff try to assist with dispersal. Shui Qingzi overhears the mention of spirit energy and questions whether this disaster was truly unnatural, wondering if such terrifying events could really be caused by humans. Watching Fang Yi from a distance, Shui Qingzi recalls the shadow earlier and wonders if it was actually him. She doubts her earlier suspicion, telling herself not to be naive. She thinks there's no way Fang Yi, with his mediocre performance, could have entered Qingcheng University. In Fang Yi's house as the sun sets, lying on his bed, Fang Yi struggles with intense heat radiating from his body and wonders why it won't fade. Despite taking cold showers and using air conditioning, nothing helps. He is drenched in sweat and realizes that if this continues, he won't be able to sleep tonight. While wiping sweat from his face, Fang Yi worries that the chaos earlier might have exposed him. He quickly checks his phone and finds a top trending update from the Spirit Energy Practitioners Association about a new ranking system. Recognizing the name, he recalls the group as an obscure online community that occasionally posted spiritual training content, once thought to be pure fantasy. A flash of the cloaked figure from earlier comes to mind, and Fang Yi begins to suspect that the people he encountered at Qingcheng University may have been part of that same association. Fang Yi taps open on the announcement to view more details from the Spirit Energy Practitioners Association, revealing various ranks of spiritual cultivation. He notes that while the content sounds fantastical, the watermark proves it's genuine and officially released by the Xia Country Agency. He reflects that in his past life, he never encountered such information because he was just an ordinary person focused entirely on survival during the disasters. Realizing this might be an official signal for early awakeners, he sits on his bed and decides to resume practicing golden sun breathing as instructed. He closes his eyes and begins breathing steadily. As the heat builds within his body, he starts to sweat but stays concentrated. Flames of golden energy swirl around him as he levitates in his room. A narration explains step 1 of the process, strengthening the body into a vessel capable of absorbing the energy of heaven and earth. As if becoming a living weapon, he channels his spirit energy and concentrates intensely, commanding himself to shape it into the form of the divine axe as golden power explodes around him. As the energy condenses above him, Fang Yi wonders if this could truly be it. Then the system confirms his breakthrough to Ghost Axe 1-star rank. A new system appears, reminding him that he has 50 writing points available to convert knowledge into skills. He had forgotten about them, but now considers using them to boost his new cultivation rank even further. Fang Yi reflects on the system's explanation, questioning what it means to forcibly embed power into anything. Curious, he holds out his glowing hand and wonders if a random object like a mug would qualify as anything. A system window appears, asking if he wants to use a writing point to embed the sun attribute into the mug. As the mug glows, he realizes his guess was right. Smirking with satisfaction, Fang Yi confirms to himself that this new ability has limitless potential. He realizes that forcibly embedding attributes means granting objects supernatural powers. He wonders what would happen if he used this ability on a weapon like a sword or a gun, rather than a mug. He looks at a sword in his possession, understanding that a weapon crafted specifically for him with supernatural powers will be crucial in the future. Fang Yi stares at the sword in its case, planning to experiment with the system and test its effects before committing to forging a true weapon. Determined, he resolves to fully prepare for the coming threat of mutated beasts. Under the moonlit night, a large mutated beast approaches the building from the forest. The mutated beast crouches in the darkness, watching intently. Inside the room, the sound of coughing echoes repeatedly and moonlight spills through the window onto the bed. Fang Yi lies in bed, sweating and coughing as he shifts slightly and murmurs. Suddenly, he slowly opens his eyes. He sits at the edge of his bed with his feet touching the floor. He walks into the living room and stops, noticing something while moonlight floods the space. He focuses on a sound, thinking that ever since he entered Ghost Axe, his sense of hearing has become sharper than normal, making it easy to hear noises from nearby houses. Still lying on the couch, he continues hearing repeated coughing sounds and realizes something isn't right. Fang Yi peeks out his apartment door and hears coughing echoing from the corridor. He spots a beast with glowing red eyes and black feathers in the hallway and identifies the sound source. It's there. Recognizing it, he realizes the creature is a mutated rabbit beast affected by the mutation. He recalls that even with distant memories from his previous life, seeing this beast again still sends chills through him. Meanwhile, a helicopter with a spotlight approaches the city. A girl with long hair stands on a rooftop under the moonlight, stating that the rabbit who consumed the dark spirit fruit is still on the loose and that its speed is shockingly fast. She instructs to stay updated on any new developments while continuing to eat the lollipop. She leaps across rooftops, swiftly moving through the city. While midair, she suddenly senses something and turns her attention toward it. With force, she kicks off the building and accelerates toward the source. The girl reports that she has detected the beast's dark energy again, and that it fled 20 kilometers away to a residential area. She urges for immediate pursuit to protect the residents. She pushes off a building wall with force. While flipping through the sky, she warns others to be cautious. The beast has consumed a spirit fruit, and although its transformation isn't complete, it may still grow stronger. A man on the street looks up in surprise as a blur of light streaks across the night sky. Inside the Central Channel manga department, a man wonders if he's hallucinating from working too much. Another colleague scolds him, asking if he's done with the manga. He points out that they're on the 65th floor, shocked by what he's seeing outside, a figure leaping in front of the full moon. Meanwhile, the mutated beast charges toward Fang Yi, letting out a roar. Fang Yi's eye lights up with intense golden energy in response. He notes that ever since his breakthrough, his body has improved. He can clearly see the beast's slow movements, and his muscles react fast enough to dodge its attacks. Power gathers in his hand as golden energy crackles around it. He wonders if these terrifying mutated beasts are already appearing this early, as he charges forward with his energy ready to strike. He recalls from his past life that the beast hasn't fully transformed yet, but its current stage boosts its power and madness due to the dark energy. He prepares to strike, determined to stop it before the residents fall victim to its rampage. He grabs the beast firmly, unleashing his power through his glowing hand. A loud crack echoes as he slams the beast down with full force. He pins the beast down and stays focused as golden energy surrounds him. He realizes the beast's weak point is its tail and prepares to strike. He launches himself upward, shattering the ground as the beast is thrown into the air. His eyes glow fiercely as he channels energy into his glowing fist. A powerful golden beam shoots upward, blasting the beast mid-air. The beast screams in pain as it's struck directly by the concentrated energy attack. The mutated beast attempts to absorb a powerful glowing energy ball as it faces Fang Yi. Fang Yi strikes the beast directly with the yang element energy, questioning if it dares absorb it. The intense solar energy floods the beast's body as it begins to lose control. Fang Yi declares that the sun's power is too majestic and that the beast is bringing about its own destruction. A massive explosion erupts from the energy clash. The man in bed reacts to the explosion, wondering if it was thunder. He looks out the window, puzzled, trying to see what caused the noise. Fang Yi lands outside the building surrounded by glowing energy fragments, observing that there's nothing left. He reflects that the creature had acted desperately, as if it was starving and trying to consume all the energy from his body. As golden energy fades from his feet, a red eye rolls near Fang Yi. He stomps the ground firmly, cracking it beneath him. Fang Yi thinks to himself that although the beast used the darkness element, its attacks were wild and reckless. The yang element inside him suppressed its energy, revealing just how desperately hungry it truly was. Fang Yi reflects that if he hadn't awakened, he would have been devoured like the others by the mutated beasts whose hunger had already begun to manifest. He knows that to survive future threats, he must gather more spirit energy techniques. Meanwhile, under the full moon, the girl descends from the sky. She lands forcefully in the forest. She steps forward and questions if the target is truly dead. Kneeling down, she confirms the corpse has been torn apart and decides to begin collecting the remaining dark element energy. As she reaches toward the ground, she suddenly reacts to something unexpected. The girl winces in shock from the heat, pulling her hand back and wondering how intense the temperature is. She realizes the heat is due to a high-level yang energy, one with a pure concentration, similar to what's detected at Qingcheng University, and suspects it's no coincidence. Raising her hand to her earpiece, she contacts HQ, confirming the rabbit is dead and explains she wasn't the one who killed it, a new pioneer did, someone possessing a high-grade elemental affinity. Someone at HQ asks if the person who purified the polluted zone at Qingcheng University's northern gate and killed the mutated rabbit is the same individual. Another confirms the person isn't listed in the HQ archives and remarks on the unusual talent of a pioneer with such pure elemental power. They insist the association must reach out to him immediately. The girl agrees, activating flames and energy in her hands as she prepares to store the sample. She seals the yang element energy carefully inside her cloak. HQ instructs her to postpone all other missions and focus entirely on tracking the new pioneer and gathering any information about him. They hope to persuade him to join the Spirit Energy Association. The girl calmly unwraps her lollipop. She acknowledges the command with a quiet "understood" as she places the lollipop in her mouth. Still chewing, she casually says that before anything else she just wants a cup of milk tea. Fang Yi wonders who this mysterious person is, recognizing that such overwhelming power must belong to a true expert. He silently vows to meet him no matter what it takes. Fang Yi stretches his arms wide in front of a large window as sunlight pours in. He states that the whole day's plan starts in the morning and acknowledges the dazzling sunlight. He removes his shirt, revealing a muscular physique, and mentions that waking up early helps with his cultivation. As he stands in the sunlight, glowing energy begins swirling around him while he activates the golden sun breathing technique, directing himself to feel the morning sun and operate the technique. Surrounded by radiant golden energy, Fang Yi explains that after entering the Ghost Axe realm, he can now sense the aura of the mountain masterpiece more clearly when using the golden sun breathing technique, which feels like threads circling the divine axe. A sudden explosion of light erupts as he realizes the breakthrough happened faster than expected, surprising him. Fang Yi clenches his glowing fist with determination, channeling the power through his arm as energy surges outward. Lifting the golden axe, he notes it feels much lighter than before. As he swings it, He reflects that cultivation is like chopping wood, what truly matters is persistence. He swings the golden axe downward with force as radiant energy shoots up through his body. He channels the power while standing firm, stating that his axe technique is becoming more refined and destructive. With golden eyes glowing, he senses his body becoming stronger, remarking that his physical toughness has increased. He reflects that although his progress seems fast, it's due to unused residual energy from his previous breakthrough to 1 star. Surrounded by golden flames, Fangi decides that from now on, he must level up gradually, 1 step at a time. As he glances at a package labeled Authentic Goods, he notes that the anomalies caused by his cultivation are too flashy and thinks he needs to find a quieter place. At the association office, an older man hears something and reacts with curiosity. Holding a phone, the man detects a solar energy fluctuation and immediately suspects Fang Yi as the source again. In a quiet mountain forest by a stream, Fang Yi sits cross-legged and activates a screen interface in front of him. When prompted to use code points to implant a yang attribute into an item, he confirms with a yes as golden energy wraps around him. He recalls a past attempt where he used a figurine as a weapon. The coding worked, but it couldn't handle the yang attribute's power. Now wielding a new blade, Fang Yi senses that not all props can be turned into weapons. But this one is different. He feels the blade and his body share the same origin and resonate together strongly. The screen confirms that the coding was successful. Surrounded by golden energy, Fang Yi praises the weapon and prepares to test its power with a strong swing. Shocked by the overwhelming force, he exclaims in surprise as a massive burst of light explodes from the weapon. Holding the glowing blade with a confident stance, Fang Yi unleashes a fiery arc of energy in a wide slash. Fang Yi unleashes a massive slash that nearly causes a wildfire, relieved that the situation didn't get worse. Seeing the smoke and destruction, he realizes it was too loud and he's probably already been noticed. He prepares to leave quickly. Meanwhile, the girl rushes toward the scene, frustrated and yelling repeatedly in anger. She complains that she only went to redeem a coupon and buy milk tea, but missed something important, blaming her bad luck on retrograde Mercury. The girl looks surprised and shouts in shock upon realizing something about a hot spring. As she rushes through swirling smoke, she questions what the Buddha statue just did and wonders how to handle the aftermath and where to report it. With teary eyes, she worries about getting scolded by the cleanup department again and complains that ever since they appeared, nothing good has happened. Suddenly, she's caught off guard as something hits her from behind. The girl is shocked and yells in disbelief, realizing that last night the aura was still 1-star ghost axe, but now it has advanced to 2-star and even carries the presence of a spirit weapon. A visual explanation describes spirit weapons as powerful tools infused with attributes, far beyond ordinary weapons. She notes that spirit weapons are extremely rare, with the association only possessing 2. She's confused how someone else could have one, especially since current tech is still incomplete and restricted from public use. After a pause, she nervously laughs it off, saying it must be a mistake on her part. Sitting by the stream, she prepares to cool it down and clean up the aftermath. Walking through the forest, Fang Yi reflects that his weapon has the yang attribute now, but the system never said it was limited to just 1. Remembering the system's words, he notes that many techniques can be coded, and anything in the world can become coding material. He wonders if he can stack multiple attributes onto the same weapon. While checking his phone, Fang Yi receives a message from someone asking if he's a pioneer. The sender reveals they checked his browser history and saw he entered the realm after using a driver post. Fang Yi realizes he forgot to set his privacy settings. The conversation continues with the user saying their group has 3 members trying to connect with other pioneers. Fang Yi responds that he's a newbie too. They ask about his cultivation progress, mention how tough the body tempering divine axe is, and share a rumor about a national team player reaching that realm. Fang Yi replies that it sounds impressive. Fang Yi is surprised to learn that even official military recruits are still only at the Ghost Axe realm. He receives a message from IDUG-72 about a newly formed pollution zone and a suggestion to team up, offering safety and shared loot. Fang Yi is intrigued and questions the new zone. He asks for the location, and IDUG-72 sends a compressed data file titled Dark River Molten Dragon. Fang Yi begins extracting the file. The file explains that the pollution zone originated from a dark river altered by tectonic shifts, now turned into molten layer due to world mutation. Fang Yi notes its yang type attribute matches his and considers it a promising opportunity. Fang Yi sends a message confirming his participation in the team-up. In the Anhwa district, someone asks Old Lai when his friend will arrive. A group stands before a massive sealed entrance, with one member thanking Xiaoya for the detailed map and intel that helped him find the location easily. Another member expresses gratitude for the group's support and reminds everyone that once they're inside, they'll need to watch out for each other. Zhang Xiaoya, a staff member from the Ministry of Culture's Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association, laments that there don't seem to be any standout pioneers to recommend this time. A narration explains that most pioneers don't realize the association is a government agency, and becoming a formal member is extremely difficult, often requiring heavy connections and multiple tests. Zhang Xiaoya sighs, dreading overtime if the group doesn't discover anything. Just then, someone excitedly recognizes Fang Yi approaching. Fang Yi steps forward confidently and introduces himself to the group, saying it's nice to meet them all. She observes Fang Yi and guesses he's at Ghost Axe Realm 2-star. She finds his strong aura unusual. It's warm and not oppressive. The group stands ready at the cave entrance. Someone announces that since everyone's gathered, it's time to move out. Another responds with an okay. Inside the cave, Fang Yi takes the lead and tells Zhang Xiaoya to handle the light. She agrees, and the group begins their cautious descent. As they explore, one member warns Fang Yi to be careful of loose rocks. Another comments the heat isn't as intense as expected. They guess it's because they haven't reached the core of the pollution zone yet, and Fang Yi reminds everyone to prioritize safety and speak up if tired. Fang Yi reflects that although he arrived last, the group has already welcomed him warmly. He senses their friendliness is genuine, whether out of kindness or survival instinct. The team reaches a cavern filled with glowing molten lava. One of them exclaims in awe, realizing it really is lava. Fang Yi suddenly steps forward toward the lava without hesitation, alarming the group. Zhang Xiaoya warns him not to act recklessly with danger ahead. Ignoring their shouts, Fang Yi plunges a weapon into the lava. The others panic, yelling at him for being reckless and shouting to pull him back immediately. Flames erupt violently from the lava pit as Fang Yi makes contact, shocking the rest of the team. The system detects a world anomaly called inner flame and begins analyzing it while activating ultimate computing power to code the phenomenon. The analysis reveals that the inner flame has an extremely high internal temperature and explosive traits, making it incredibly destructive. The system then describes the crimson flame blade technique when the blade is drawn. Each strike is surrounded by blazing flames and lightning, unleashing its full might. Fang Yi prepares his hand to activate the technique, surrounded by swirling fire energy. He declares that it perfectly complements his Tang blade and chooses to spend a serial point to embed the inner flame attribute into the weapon. The team watches in awe from a distance as Fang Yi rises safely from the lava. They notice his weapon is absorbing the layer's energy and confirm he's unharmed. As flames swirl around his newly enhanced blade, Fang Yi stands confidently. One of the team members praises his discovery, deciding to absorb energy during training too. Fang Yi notes that the spiritual energy has stabilized, and it's time to cultivate. Another teammate raises his arms, excitedly saying he can now absorb energy smoothly. A second person shares the same experience, saying with a bit more training, they'll officially enter the cultivation path. Zhang Xiaoya smiles and assures them not to worry about safety. She's only there to gather intel and will keep watch while they focus on their training. Everyone expresses gratitude to her. Suddenly, Zhang Xiaoya turns toward the cave entrance and notices new figures approaching. She warns the group that more pioneers are coming. A group of aggressive newcomers arrives. The red-haired leader mocks the others, calling them small fries and declares the area his. Zhang Xiaoya looks back at her cultivating teammates and realizes all three enemies are at 1-star Ghost Axe Realm, concluding they can't risk provoking them. She politely responds that they found the location first and her friends have already started absorbing energy. She offers to share the space if they're willing to cultivate peacefully. The man mocking her strength and yelling at her to get lost. He threatens violence if they don't leave immediately. Zhang Xiaoya silently reflects that in this era of spiritual energy revival, The rule is survival of the fittest and the weak are left behind. Despite that, she reminds herself that as a member of the Xia Countries Association, she can't let this continue and must intervene. Just then, Fang Yi steps forward with a confident "heh," surprising her. Standing tall, Fang Yi confronts the red-haired man, accusing him of only knowing how to bully a girl. The man reacts with shock, shouting, "What?" Fang Yi unsheathes his flaming blade and strikes, sending out a powerful shockwave that pushes back the enemies, stunning everyone around. The man shouts for his group to fall back as Fang Yi's flaming attack blasts them into the air, overwhelming their defense. One of Fang Yi's teammates is startled by the sudden energy shockwave and asks what just happened. Fang Yi reflects that the tragedies in this world began because cultivators started worshipping the idea of the strong preying on the weak. But he concludes that such people aren't swayed by words or moral teachings, only power can stop them. Fang Yi unleashes another fiery slash, telling the enemy to get lost as the attack erupts with explosive force. The leader is stunned by the second explosion, panicking and questioning what kind of monster he's facing. Overwhelmed, the enemy group turns and flees in terror as Fang Yi calmly holds his sword. Fang Yi's teammates rush over in excitement, praising his insane power and saying that his sword slash looked incredibly cool. Fang Yi smiles and says the enemies crossed the line, but they've absorbed enough spiritual energy, so it's time to leave. As the group agrees and prepares to exit the spirit zone, they reflect on how destructive Fang Yi's attack could have been if it had fully landed. Watching him walk away, Zhang Xiaoya observes that he's clearly a top-tier pioneer with elite talent and a powerful attribute. Clenching her fist, she firmly decides that this event must be reported to the organization. At the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association office, a woman reacts to a report and asks if another high-tier attribute pioneer has appeared. Zhang Xiaoya on the other end is shocked to hear the word "another." Caught off guard, the girl nervously denies anything suspicious while secretly confirming she recorded the event and should be contacted for any updates. She ends the call, saving the data, as instructed. Later, excited, she tells her teacher that they've found 2 high-tier pioneers back-to-back, but he dismisses it, saying it's not luck. Anyone with a high-tier attribute now holds value and will soon rise to power. The older man rubs his forehead, frustrated by recent developments, thinking it's all becoming too complicated and he wants to quit. Meanwhile, in town, Fang Yi walks in a hoodie and sword. Girls nearby admire his appearance, thinking he looks like a powerful character, making Fang Yi embarrassed. As he silently continues walking, others around admire him. A caption notes he's pretending to be a cosplayer to avoid attention. Suddenly, Fang Yi receives breaking news on his phone. The events from cultivation novels are starting to come true. Golden light in the east, a purple aura, and even a dragon sighting. Fang Yi realizes the anomaly was caused by his inner flame's power, which he underestimated at 2000 degrees Celsius. He rules out Old Lai or Zhang Xiaoya leaking his traits. He thinks absorbing yang-type energy might let him break through if he uses the golden sun breathing technique again. Deciding not to delay, he heads toward the back mountain to continue cultivating. 5 minutes later, at the back mountain, Bai King stretches and celebrates completing her task. She's startled by a sudden powerful energy surge glowing in the distance and quickly senses it's coming from the mountain. The overwhelming aura spirals upward, signaling someone is breaking through to the 3-star Ghost Axe realm. Shocked by the scale of the energy, Bai King realizes this breakthrough is beyond monstrous and questions who could be behind it. Bai King slams her foot down, deciding she must immediately investigate the source of the massive energy surge. As she rushes forward with determination, she wonders if the one behind it could be that guy, though it seems too unlikely. Fang Yi raises his hands as spiritual energy begins forming above him, spinning rapidly in a spiral while lightning crackles in the background. He sits cross-legged, surrounded by intense golden flames, eyes glowing. His body is enveloped in a complex aura, and he maintains a focused hand seal. The golden energy condenses further, mixing with blue currents as it takes the shape of a glowing axe. Bai King watches from above, realizing that Fang Yi is trying to control a divine axe. She notes the difficulty of manipulating spiritual power so precisely and wonders if he secretly trained for several years without anyone knowing. Bai King recalls how she previously failed while breaking through, vomiting blood and collapsing under pressure. She stares at Fang Yi from her bed and questions if he's truly a monster born from thunder. She observes how the divine axe is filled with spiritual energy, and how Fang Yi controls it precisely. She notes that every movement of the aura looks like it could strike with immense force, and recognizes that someone like him isn't just a genius, he's a being summoned by the heavens. Meanwhile, how most cultivators would rush to finish after forming a core, but Fang Yi maintains sharp focus and sword-like intent. He compares Fang Yi's calm to that of a high-ranking cultivator. Bai King chases the divine axe's aura as it begins to move again. She yells that the divine axe has shifted toward the east. Fang Yi's eyes glow intensely with golden light. He rises into the air, fully wrapped in golden lightning as energy erupts around him. He successfully breaks through to the second star of the Ghost Axe realm. Bai King braces herself amid the crashing energy blasts, breathing heavily while standing within the storm of golden lightning. She is flung back by a massive energy surge as Fang Yi's divine axe unleashes a shockwave, engulfing the area in golden force. Catching her breath, Bai King wonders why she still can't get close even though only 30 seconds have passed. She realizes he may have already detected her presence and worries he might act against her next. Her eyes narrow with sudden realization. Looking up at a large, glowing tree bathed in sunlight, Bai King notes that the divine axe seems to have stopped and hasn't yet fully awakened. Fang Yi hides in the trees and watches Bai King, realizing she's the one who's been investigating him over the past few days. Bai King introduces herself as the captain of a field team from the Spirit Energy Association. She formally extends an invitation to Fang Yi on behalf of the organization. Fang Yi responds calmly, explaining that he's only been following her these past 2 days in hopes of joining the official association. He assures her that his actions weren't meant to leave a bad impression. He adds that while the association hasn't made a public announcement yet, all internal documentation is already formalized. Bai King wonders if he'll misunderstand her actions or think she's been bothering him. She focuses on staying calm. Fang Yi questions Bai King's reasoning. She tries to answer but hesitates, overwhelmed by his directness. She debates whether to be honest, unsure if revealing the truth would make things worse. He explains that he wanted to locate the Spirit Energy Association early to integrate with their system and correct misunderstandings about rogue cultivators, giving both sides more clarity. He acknowledges that despite their differences, they all must face the same threats ahead. Fang Yi admits that if he were her, he wouldn't trust someone like him easily either, and joining an organization without certainty feels like deception. Bai King remains silent, visibly affected by his honesty. Bai King pulls out her ID card and formally introduces herself as Su Mantang, an athlete from the Spirit Energy Association. She enthusiastically holds her badge up high, hoping Fang Yi recognizes her. She asks him to believe her, treating it like proof of her sincerity. Fang Yi examines her and mutters that her name does seem a bit familiar to him. Fang Yi realizes she had better conditions and training, which likely helped her become an elite runner. He acknowledges it explains her speed, but something still bothers him. Fang Yi looks serious, remembering that in his previous life, Su Mantang failed to fulfill her mission and humanity was ultimately wiped out. He recalls the destruction of the world and thinks that now that he's been reborn and granted a system, he must one day join their cause, but the time isn't right yet. Su Mantang smiles and says she really does recognize him, hoping it builds trust. Fang Yi quickly leaps away, telling her he'll consider the offer, leaving behind a trail of wind. Fang Yi reappears behind Su Mantang and tells her to temporarily keep his identity and actions a secret from others. Based on her conduct, he concludes that the Spirit Energy Association likely trusts her more than other scouts. He internally decides to make use of her abilities, believing she can serve his goals well. Su Mantang agrees to cooperate but says the association has already noticed the disturbance from his breakthrough and she must still report it eventually, perhaps in half a year. Fang Yi accepts the condition and calmly agrees. Su Mantang leaps through the forest, frustrated that Fang Yi slipped away again. She complains about always missing her chance and the tiring task of reporting back. She grumbles about cleaning up after others' messes, then tells herself to stop dwelling on it. Since she's already on assignment outside, she might as well finish it properly. Receiving a message through her earpiece, Su Mantang is shocked to hear that an abnormal has reappeared. She quickly asks if it's active again. She recalls the brutal monster pack responsible for past horrors. She vows never to forget them. Dark red creatures with twisted forms crawl through ruined cities, hunting, biting, and killing without reason. They target humans and spread chaos wherever they appear. The creatures are classified as abnormal beings by the Spirit Energy Association. Their actions vary in behavior, with some attacking randomly and others following complex strategies. If they're not eliminated early, they grow stronger by absorbing aura, becoming more destructive and difficult to handle. Lightning strikes violently in the middle of a heavy rainstorm, illuminating tall city buildings. Fang Yi steps into a puddle as rain pours heavily. Emergency warnings flash on electronic screens, announcing that the area has entered a dangerous state and civilians should evacuate immediately. Passers-by comment on how frequent these anomalies have become. Fang Yi looks up. He notes the intense lightning pressure in the atmosphere and realizes that the center of the storm is still moving. Fang Yi climbs a flight of stairs in the rain. He stops before a distant mountain struck by purple lightning and mutters that the signal is coming from there. Without hesitation, he leaps forward into the storm. He lands with speed, sprinting up the slope toward the mountain. He receives a system alert confirming the area ahead is contaminated target location, Jade Peak. Another display identifies Jade Peak as a 545-meter mountain and a notable landmark in the city. Fang Yi approaches through the misty, skeletal forest littered with bones. The system reports that the contamination level is currently unknown. Fang Yi continues forward without hesitation. Suddenly, Fang Yi's eyes sharpen as he senses something unusual nearby. A massive bolt of bright blue lightning strikes down in front of him. The meeting begins with a report showing a mountain struck by lightning. They explain that the spiritual energy levels are rising, and the danger level of Yuhuang Peak is increasing rapidly. A man in a suit says, "This is a serious situation." The original cleanup team was reassigned, so the emergency meeting was called. He then asks King Yin to continue the briefing. Bai King, in front of the council, explains that currently the peak is inaccessible due to explosive lightning-type spiritual energy. They had only rated it as an A-level pollution zone so far. Bai King adds that in 1 hour, it will reach a level that demands a new emergency classification. However, based on past data, no one in their district, including herself, has the ability to approach it safely. The officials review death rate estimates and conclude that even Ghost Axe Tier 3 elites have a 100% fatality rate if deployed into the contaminated zone. Another officer proposes immediate lockdown around Yuhuang Peak's base with 24-hour patrols to stop anyone from entering. A second officer agrees, stating the mountain must be sealed completely from the root of the danger. They finalize the decision. No one is allowed near the spirit turbulence until energy levels drop. The zone will remain locked for safety. Suddenly, lightning crashes into the mountain. Amid the rain and flashing light, Fang Yi appears in a hooded cloak, muttering to himself that he will reclaim his memory. Fang Yi stands amid the storm, but realizes it's not enough. To absorb the powerful spiritual energy, he must move deeper into the mountain's core. He reflects on the deadly nature of this energy and its origins. Even ordinary monsters are now strengthened, and the danger level is rising with distortions in space and time. Although he now controls Golden Sun breathing technique and Flame Blade, Fang Yi knows he still lacks the strength to fully wield these powers. Future enemies will be far more terrifying, and even cultivators might struggle against them. He prepares his weapons carefully, combining fire and blade traits to increase his attack power. However, he notes that overuse may also cause severe damage to his body. Only by pushing his limits can he survive what lies ahead. Fang Yi senses the immense lightning energy surrounding him and sees it as the perfect chance to further strengthen his body. He reflects that constant growth requires opportunities hidden within nature's extremes, and he must seize those moments no matter how dangerous. He understands that if he misses this chance, he can only wait for death under the heavens. As a bolt of lightning strikes down, his eyes glow intensely. Gripping his blade tightly, he braces himself for what's to come. As lightning strikes, Fang Yi braces for impact. He marvels at the overwhelming force crashing into him. As he channels his strength, sparks and energy swirl around him, while he clutches his weapon tighter. Caught in the center of the storm, he screams while absorbing the energy, enduring the painful surge through sheer willpower. Breathing heavily but still standing, Fang Yi grips his blade and steadies himself. Fang Yi stands firm, feeling the deadly lightning attribute in his sword. He senses that this force is like a punishment from the heavens. The pressure increases, forcing him to clench his fists and grit his teeth. He realizes that even nearing the lightning's core could crush him instantly. He looks up at the storm, wondering how he can make this wild power submit to him. Taking a deep breath, he calms himself. With a flash of determination, Fang Yi activates Golden Flame breathing at full force, shouting his command to unleash everything he has. Fang Yi charges upward with blazing force, clashing directly with the incoming lightning. Flames burst from his body as he strikes, combining fire and lightning in a single explosive leap toward the sky. Despite blood dripping from his mouth, Fang Yi doesn't falter. With full strength, he pushes forward into the heart of the storm, declaring that he will survive through death itself. He feels the powerful spiritual energy stir through his body, shaking his core and electrifying every cell with intense force. With glowing eyes, he declares that the storm wants him dead, but he refuses to yield. The lightning energy rages forward, expanding wildly as Fang Yi braces for the final clash. A notification appears. A massive surge of lightning energy is being detected and recorded. Meanwhile, people in the city watch the storm from a tower, shocked by the scale of the lightning strike. Fang Yi is engulfed in a massive explosion of lightning and fire. A system message confirms he has obtained Divine Thunder Tempering. Another system prompt appears. Heavenly Thunder drawn, body refined into divinity awarded 50 system points. Surrounded by radiant energy, Fang Yi floats above the mountain. As the inheritor of Divine Thunder, he now carries both lightning and fire attributes, and his presence begins to reshape the weather itself. Fang Yi declares that lightning is both his fangs and his shield. He feels its power flowing through him, enhancing both his offense and defense. He channels the lightning energy into his body and notes that even as it tests him, it does not cause pain. It offers both danger and opportunity. A system prompt appears, offering him the Pure Judgment lightning ability, capable of delivering 300% damage to evil beings. It asks if he wants to spend system points to acquire it. Fang Yi wonders if he should embed this lightning energy into his blade. Though doing so could damage its structure, it may also break through its limits. Fang Yi considers the risk. If he injects too much lightning attribute, the weapon might not be able to withstand it. A system prompt asks if he wants to embed the lightning attribute into the object. He makes his decision, stating the energy should go into his right hand. Smiling slightly, Fang Yi confirms the command with a firm yes, ready to proceed. Lightning gathers in his hand as he prepares to absorb the power directly. In the next day, at the Yuhuang Peak, military personnel observe the aftermath of the spiritual storm. One officer reports that, unlike expected, someone had already entered the mountain before them. The officer, addressed as Major Han Lai, confirms that the person was a pioneer. Bai King is surprised to hear this and rushes forward to ask if the person survived. Kneeling on the ground, Bai King remains silent as the wind blows around her. She explains she can't sense his attributes or how long he's been gone. The violent lightning from yesterday has made it difficult to track him. Bai King learns the incident occurred around 6 or 7 a.m., with the person entering the mountain just before the team arrived. She's surprised and asks why they didn't detect him. The officer explains that the spiritual burst time matched their association's earlier predictions exactly 7 a.m., and the person might have entered before the data was finalized. Standing over the lightning-scorched peak, the officer says the pollution level was expected to reach this rank, but afterward, the spiritual density dropped drastically. He suspects the intruder may have lightning-based powers, which helped him absorb the energy. He concludes that the person not only survived, but possibly used this event as a rare opportunity. The outcome was too precise to be a coincidence, and the person acted faster than their entire team. Bai King and the officer agree that someone capable of such power is dangerous. They question where this person truly stands, friend or threat. If he's a danger to society, they say, he must be found quickly, as his presence could lead to disaster greater than any anomaly. Meanwhile, Fang Yi wakes up casually in his home, rubbing his head while his sword rests beside him. Back at the command center, the officer declares that no matter the cost, the mysterious person must be located. He assigns a code name, Tyrant,